Sometimes you work really hard to get the best ending possible and you end up with something that just sucks. It's frustrating, it's disappointing, it's whatever. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, 7 aggravating true endings we hated unlocking. Just a quick disclaimer, there are going to be spoilers in this. This is about endings, so if you click this thinking there's not going to be any spoilers, you've been warned. Starting off at number 7, the Nightfall Protocol in Batman Arkham Knight. Arkham Knight is a polarizing end to probably the biggest and best Batman series on video game consoles. I'm one of the people that loves it, but I feel like there's something almost anyone can agree on. Collecting the hundreds, and I mean hundreds of collectibles to unlock the bonus true ending is a pretty bitter pill to swallow. We have to grit our teeth, jump in the Batmobile, and carefully comb the huge grounds of Gotham City to complete everything in the game, and there is a lot. To see the true fate of Batman and learn what his Nightfall Protocol is, you have to earn 100% completion. That means defeat every villain. And the only way to defeat Riddler, that means you have to find and solve every puzzle in the game. That means you have to collect 243 Riddler trophies. This is like an open world action game, and it's multiple times the size of Arkham City. And it's basically giving you Donkey Kong-like collectathon objectives. Finding everything takes quadruple the time as just playing through the story. But we all did it anyway, and the secret ending turns out to be perplexing. Batman seemingly just blows up Wayne Manor and dies, and then we see a scene that looks like a recreation of when Batman's parents were killed, except a bizarre, nightmarish figure appears to stop them. It'd be an interesting sequel hook, but it's probably not going to be followed up on, as Gotham Knights appears to be in its own continuity. Moving on to number 6, the Dragon's Homecoming in Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, as if Sekiro was not hard enough on its own. As if the game was not a difficult enough thing, unlocking the, quote, best ending is complicated, arcane, and requires multiple steps to 100% that you would just never, ever do without a guide. You don't have to fight any new bosses, you don't have to explore any new areas, you just have to share items with specific characters, use your powers in a way that you never thought you would or could. Oh, and hey, if you didn't know, you can mind control enemies and make them activate switches that only they can interact with. Did you know that? I didn't. People complain about the secret ending requirements in Dark Souls 3 and Bloodborne, but this is so much worse in my book. And it all leads to like a positive ending that hints at future adventures for our shinobi hero. Like, to even get started, you have to travel to an optional location that's very difficult to find early in the game and complete it before going to your main objective. Then you have to kill a guy, visit him in the afterlife, and give a special item to his kid. There are secret giant snakes involved. It is a hassle. Seriously, the amount of back and forth you have to do to finish this is just a massive pain unto itself. There's nearly 20 steps by my count that you have to finish to unlock this secret ending, and again, it's kind of, oh hey, you know, there might be more adventures, yay! And number 5 is the Time Devourer in Chrono Cross. The sequel to Chrono Trigger, let's just say, pissed off a lot of fans. It's really very different compared to the original. It did have a unique charm that makes me want to stick up for it, but as far as getting the good ending, I cannot defend it. It is so arcane, so complicated, so impossible to unlock without a strategy guide that I don't think it's possible to exaggerate. How anyone figured this out without taking one of the developer's family hostage, I just don't know. And it's the only way to get the actual ending of the game. The bad ending just cuts to black after you defeat the boss, which is, by the way, one of the most mystifying moments in an already baffling game. To defeat the boss for real, you have to play an instrument by casting different elemental magic. You have to match the colors that appear, and you play a pattern by casting magic, hoping the enemy final boss casts the correct magic type to complete the pattern. Yes, this ending relies on you somehow knowing the correct order to match this song. Yes, there are a few hints pointing toward what you have to do, but they are so obscure that most players do not notice them. Instead of beating up the spawn of Lavos, you have to play this extremely weird game, and it's barely explained. Hell, what even is the Time Devourer, for that matter? The thing feels like it just comes out of nowhere and makes the whole ending sequence just bizarre in every possible way. At number 4, the golden ending in Persona 4 Golden. When a game takes 100+ hours to complete, you kind of get some sore feelings when you get the bad ending. And there's more than one way to get it in Persona 4, and only one way to get the true ending. What's even worse is a lot of bad endings can trick you into thinking that they were good endings. The game doesn't just straight up tell you that's wrong, try again. It makes it seem like you made the right choice for some of them, so some people don't even know there was an actual good ending to get. If you want to see how the game is really meant to end, you need to answer some really specific questions on a specific day with 100% accuracy, and that's only if you've figured out the game's twist ahead of time. It all revolves around finding out who's responsible for the murders around town, and the actual culprit isn't exactly obvious. And it gets worse. At a later date, you'll need to visit all your friends. The game will ask if you want to go home multiple times, but you have to say no every time. We're trained to say yes when we get questions like that in video games. It's a nice way for developers to say, you're done now, you can move on. But in Persona 4, it is a lie. It's just a deceptive game that makes you have to choose things that are counterintuitive in order to get the real ending, which is, wow. Tricksy hobbitses, let's just say. At number 3, Mona lives in Max Payne 2. Max Payne 2 ends in the tragic death of Mona Sachs, an assassin for hire that develops a steamy relationship with the former vigilante and current detective for the NYPD. Her death seems inevitable, but there is actually a possibility of saving her in a non-canon bonus ending. Canonically, she is dead, but you can enjoy a little alternate history happiness for the saddest gun-toting man in the Big Apple. To get the ending, you gotta beat it 3 times, one on standard, one on hard-boiled, and then finally on New York Minute. The game is already pretty hard, but New York Minute cranks up that challenge to an insane degree. You already died in about a split second in the original game, but in New York Minute, you get blown away in like a nano angstrom, and I don't even know what that term means. I just know that it's tiny. It is an absurd challenge where you will be desperately clinging to every pill bottle, and you will be using those quick save, quick load keys. They will get a workout, to say the least. At number 2 is the defeat of the Dahaka in Prince of Persia Warrior Within, a game that is frankly a casualty of the quote-unquote extreme era of gaming, when Ubisoft decided that sex and violence is the only thing that sells. And that's not to say that it doesn't sell, it certainly does, but I mean, we all kind of, want good games too. Not that Prince of Persia Warrior Within was a bad game, it was a good game. This, however, was Warrior Within kind of makes the Prince a darker character, and the Dahaka is bigger, badder, unlikable, a time-devouring monster, a force of nature, and the game is overall less about personality. And if you want to earn the true ending, you have to defeat the Dahaka. Most of us, specifically me, had no idea this was even a possibility for a pretty basic reason. Unlocking this ending, the only remotely good and satisfying ending, required getting all 9 life upgrades. And at least one of the life upgrades can be glitched, making it impossible to reach. Worse, the life upgrades are missable. When you return to areas you've been before later in the game, you can't access the life upgrades if you missed them the first time. Why? Well, getting these hidden items is pure jank in a game that's already riddled with a bunch of game-breaking bugs. Again, not a terrible game, not the best. It's all made worse by the fact that the true ending of this game is what the sequel is based off of, so a lot of people, myself included, started the third game just not knowing what was going on. Shouldn't the Empress of Time be dead? What's going on? Sorry, man, but you should have gotten that true ending in Warrior Within. And finally, at number 1, the absolutely insane 100% completion ending in Final Fantasy X-2. Final Fantasy X-2 was made for multiple playthroughs, and managing to complete the game with 100% completion unlocks the game's true ending, the thing we've all been waiting for. Yuna finally reuniting with Titus. The love story complete. That is, until they break up and he steps on an exploding blitzball and dies in the actually real crazy follow-up novel that I don't know if it's canon or not. I don't care. Anyway, to get there, you gotta earn 100% completion, and it's harder than it sounds. Completely arbitrary things decide completion. Choosing the wrong dialogue choice in a text conversation might count for 1%. Getting every item counts, so you'll have to unlock every hidden dungeon by sending out specific chocobos to specific locations. In one of the most ridiculous examples, there's a scene where you're chasing a bad guy, but if you want to get 100% completion, you have to stop chasing them, go in a random direction, and find another character in a Moogle costume. Everything counts towards completion. Even this part where an old man talks at you and you're given the option to interrupt. You can't interrupt. You have to sit there and listen to everything he says, or you will not get 100% completion. Basically, you need a guide and a lot of free time. It can take multiple playthroughs of a 30+ hour JRPG to get a 30-second ending. Have you ever been frustrated at any of these? Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week, and the best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription. So click subscribe. Do not forget to enable all notifications. And as always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at FalconTheHero. We'll see you next time right here on gameranx.